Hello, my fellow companions of the Crest, and welcome to another episode of Extra Time, the U.S. Men's National Team Soccer Podcast. I wanted to do everybody a favor and start off with something that aged like fine wine. Let's take them over. What better way to start off this? Take it away, Tim. On PKs. And now here is where I'm going to be super bold. I'm going to be super bold here. Wow. I got a feeling that's not going to happen. We're going to break down the disaster, the disgrace, the embarrassment, the insert your adjective here that happened in the United States-Panama game that we played. All of that is coming up. Stick around. All right, so the United States loses to Panama. I wish I could say I was shocked. I think the best way to sum this up is a text message that I got from my dad as we were exchanging our bitterness, our whatever you want to call it, after the game had ended. So he said, "My whole life it's been like this. When are we going to break into the next level?" It is infuriating to me to have to finish the game. Okay, so even before this, it's infuriating to have to listen to Carly Lloyd say that Christian Pulisic is still not at the level that Clint Dempsey played at yet. Are you out of your mind? I mean, thank you for the motivation. That's why I started this podcast in the first place. But are you out of your mind? There is not a single player that has played for the United States previous to this that has the caliber of any of the players that we have today. There's not. Would some of them do well? Sure. Clint Dempsey would do fine. You know why Clint Dempsey would do fine? Because there are better players on the team that would make him look better. But guess what? He'd be coming off the bench. He's not a Folarin Balogun. He's not a Ricardo Pepi. He'd be coming in off the bench. Would he score goals? Sure. Brian McBride would do great. He would be a phenomenal player. But he wouldn't be as good as the players we have right now. But guess what? We got to keep putting up with this crap. And we got to keep putting up with this crap because the United States men's national team keeps performing like we did 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And my dad's right. When are we going to break out of this? We start, we build, we recruit the players, we do it, and then boom, right? You walk out, thrashing defeat against Bolivia. I mean, literally, I shared the clip that I shared at the beginning for that particular reason. Wow. Did that age poorly quickly. I mean, it was like we just stuck the milk in the oven and baked it. Curdled, gone. Completely just throw it in the trash. Just take the video down. What a disgrace. I don't even know where to start when I think about how I want to sit here and unpack this game. From the finishing of the game and just the rage, the infuriation that I felt. This is something as I sat and unpacked this with some of my friends. Here's what I need you to understand. So if you're watching this video and you're not a soccer fan and you're a fan of other sports, it sucks to have your team lose in the playoffs. Maybe not even make the playoffs, right? But you have next year. 3-4 months, preseason starts, right? So your football team loses. Well, it's February. Well, spring's going to come and say, oh, there's UFA. And then all of a sudden, like, look, we're only a couple months away. Right? August is going to roll around. Oh, there we go. We're going to have some people. We're going to have them doing it. This isn't the same. Copa America isn't every year. The World Cup's not every year. So when your team gets knocked out and loses, that's it. Some of these players you don't get to see again in a tournament like that. So for your professional sports team, those players come back. No, they're going to get traded. So there's the frustration. I sympathize with you. We lose our star quarterback. We lose the running back. We lose the pitcher. We lose everybody. People get traded, right? Maybe our center. We lost our goalie. It's your national team. You're not trading countries. So you get the same players every year, but it might not matter next year. because the game's irrelevant. Is the silver lining to this game that we didn't make that it's not the World Cup? That at least we can be happy that's not the World Cup? That's a terrible silver lining. Because I haven't been given any reason to believe that this isn't going to happen in the World Cup. You haven't given us any reason at all to believe that this isn't going to happen in the World Cup. So we go from spanking Bolivia handedly. I'm down here. I'm doing the dance. I'm sorry. Everybody's celebrating. Everybody's a USA soccer fan. We're seeing the game. Fox is bragging because all the people watching the game were going to get there. And all the United States has to do is come out and beat a CONCACAF team that has only beaten them twice. You've only beaten us twice. Terrible, horrible USA sides. Beating them twice. One of those games is in Panama. They're probably both, honestly, in Panama. I think the other one was, in fact, in the United States, but in Panama. We're statistically terrible, CONCACAF, on the road. We show up. Great starting lineup. First 5 minutes, dominant. Absolutely dominant, right? I want to take a look at that. So we're absolutely dominant for those first 5 minutes. We get this opportunity, okay? I want to take us over. I want to take a look at this. I don't want to be too frustrated. I'm not going to sit here and pass some blame around, right? How it stands. So I can't even figure it out. What is this? Get out of here. What is that? Go away. We don't need that. Just take a look. Just watch. So we have a goal taken back because of an offsides. I'm not about to sit here and tell you Tim Ream wasn't in an offside position when that header happened. Right? I'm not going to do that. He was in an offside position. The offside rules are strange. They're strange. If the ball comes off a defender, offside doesn't have to happen. But is it intentional? Is whatever? I looked through and I read through the rules of what offsides was just because I was curious. Because I was like, hey, it was the most convoluted thing that I've ever heard. A player's in an offside position when, and it lists like 9 different things. And in each of the 9 different things, it's unless, if only, there's like Latin America, or there's like Latin phrases in there and all this other stuff. Like you're speaking 3 languages. It doesn't make any sense. So then it's unless like a player is deliberately playing the ball, but deliberately doesn't mean these things. So look, I understand if the ball comes off a post, if a goalie makes a save, stuff like that, like it's still an offside position. Like I get all those things. But when the ball is played by defenders who were deliberately and intentionally trying to play the ball, right? Then it shouldn't. There's a potential that's not offsides. So just want you to watch this.
Richards makes the
so comes in. I want to hear the sound. So Richards heads it. What's that right there? So then we see it. It hit him. Now look. The play's offsides. The goal doesn't stand. I'm not upset about that. I really didn't care. I thought it was the right call on the field. But for us to go to a VAR review and for the commentators not to talk about that, for them not to even show this angle of us to even think about it and just be like, oh, well, like Richards won the header. But Richards won the header off a defender. The defender's the one who actually won the header. Because if Richards wins that header and it's not deflected by him, it's going in the goal. So if the defender doesn't play the ball, there's a chance that ball goes in the net, which means we score. So the defender's play on the ball was deliberate and relevant. Does this not put Ream in an onside position? I don't know. Now, probably not. It probably doesn't put Ream in an onside position. So I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that. Right? It's fine. Everything is fine. Okay? But the game very quickly descends into just complete, it's a farcical nonsense, honestly. This is just going to be a rage rant. I'm sure every other content creator that you've listened to has just been on a rage rant. So I'm excluding like the Clint Dempseys and the Alexi Lawlesses who just said a whole bunch of nonsense. You know why? Because here's my rage rant to them. They took this opportunity to go, woo, we dodged a bullet there, boys. We can actually say we're still better than them. We still got some skin in the game. We can pull some nonsense out of our behinds, claim a whole bunch of games that were a complete joke because we never got there. Yeah, newsflash, Dempsey, your team failed to qualify for the World Cup, so why don't you take a seat, okay? Why don't you take a seat? And they can sit here and say, oh, well, we still got this, we still got that, and we still have in these French. No. literally no one cares about your opinion, just stop. Just literally stop. Because it's not relevant. It's not helping anybody. You're not better than them. You weren't better than them. You're not going to magically continue to be better than them. And what you're doing isn't helping anybody. Okay? It's not helping anybody. Now, there were a few things that they said that I'll get into that were very relevant. But you know what? Some of the things that were relevant and correct, it was basically impossible to get wrong. It was really impossible to get wrong. So we have CONCACAF. I highly recommend, if you haven't watched it, that you go on Netflix and you watch Greed. And you watch every documentary that you can watch on the corruption of FIFA and all of the confederations of football. How they're used for political elections, how they're used for embezzling funds, defrauding banks, all of it. I think you should watch it. There is a trend, okay? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Right? We're at fool me 20 times, 30 times, 100 times. I'm not getting fooled. I haven't been fooled. Okay? Numbers don't lie. When the United States plays against countries that are not CONCACAF, the games do not descend into chaos. The United States performs very well, with the exception of the Colombia game. There's a handful of games, right? But the games are not out of line. Players aren't at the risk of getting injured. They don't descend into madness. We didn't play great against Japan. Game was fine, though. We didn't play great against Saudi Arabia. Game was fine, though. Bosnia-Herzegovina. Game's fine. Do some scrimmages against like Germany stuff. Games are fine. United States plays Bolivia. We don't have a CONCACAF referee. Game's fine. United States plays Mexico, red cards and fights. United States plays Panama, red cards and fights. United States plays Honduras, red cards and fights. United States plays Guatemala, red cards and fights. United States plays Trinidad and Tobago, red cards and fights. United States plays Canada, nonsense. Not red cards and fights, because Canada's a fairly classy team, but the games still get kind of out of hand, lots of stoppages. It's kind of silly. United States plays Costa Rica, red cards and nonsense. It can only happen so many times before I'm not blaming us anymore. What do you, like, if you're somebody who's like, well, the United States has got it, whatever, how many times? Don't get suckered. Because go check the videos if you've been following this podcast. All last year, I was blaming us. I was like, we got to be better. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Ryan and I were ripping CONCACAF referees. We were ripping them in the group chat. I'm about to do it right now. But we were still putting some of that blame on the United States. We were still saying, hey, guys, you got to step it up. It can't be all the referee. But for the last 6 months, every single game, I'm done. I'm tired of it. It's an embarrassment to the game of soccer. It's an embarrassment to us. And I'm not convinced that the confederations in CONCACAF don't have a grudge against us, that FIFA doesn't have a grudge against us. Because if you're following, here's a tinfoil hat conspiracy moment. Look out, everybody. You should skip forward in the video if you're not here for this. The United States was supposed to hold the 2022 World Cup. Okay? Qatar got it. After Qatar got it, the United States investigated, filed lawsuits against FIFA because they were using a New York bank. Okay? You'll find out more about that in Greed. Ever since that moment, I have the impression that FIFA has a target on the United States. How does this game get so out of control in the first 15 minutes that our goalie gets injured with not even a card? That is a debatable, VAR reviewable red card. Now, I'm not going to be unreasonable. You're probably not getting a red card for that. Okay? You're not. It's blatant yellow. It's an easy yellow because he's just looking like this. He's not looking at the ball, and all he does is jump with his knee up through the goalie. You can make an argument, and I did, and a bunch of people in my group chat did, that that's a red card, and that if you VAR review it, it's very obvious that's what he was doing. It is very obvious from any of the fans that regardless of what color card that player was to get, Panama's intention, Panama's goal, was to create a very physical, very violent game that got under the skin of the United States and forced the game to be very disjointed. We've noticed this from all Latin American soccer. from a tactical stance, if your goal is to create lots of stoppages in play, to disrupt the flow of the other team, I don't have anything wrong with that. That is a tactic. If you want to play in transition and you want to play short bursts of speed and you cannot keep up with a team like the United States who knocks the ball around and you want to create lots of stoppages of play by drawing ticky-tack fouls and doing whatever, that's fine. These were not those. I don't know what was said to Timothy Weah. I don't know if he was kicked beforehand. I don't know if he was hit beforehand, punched beforehand. I got no idea. Okay? So this is why this is the order of blame, because it's a long order of blame. The referee is not at the top of this list. I would love it if I could put the referee at the top of this list. The referee is not at the top of this list. I don't know what happened beforehand. We can speculate that if you make the call against Matt Turner and you hand a card there, obviously the game's different for sure. You could maybe make the argument that Weah doesn't do what he does. Maybe. I don't think so. This is not going to be news to anybody. This is not like a wow, what an epiphany that I had. Timothy Weah just cost the United States a shot at not only winning Copa America, but even getting out of our group. Timothy Weah made one boneheaded, moronic, stupid, impulsive, enraged, angered, childish, unprofessional, immature decision that he's probably kicking himself for. He's probably formally apologized to the team. That doesn't matter. I had a teacher in high school who would always say, don't be sorry, just don't do it. And when I was a kid, I thought that was the silliest thing in the entire world. But now I get it. Stop making the decisions that put you in a position to have to apologize for your actions. You are a professional player who plays professional paid soccer in a tier 1 league in Europe. And you let a player from Panama in a group stage game irritate you to the point where it wasn't even maybe you struck him in the head. It wasn't even maybe. You didn't open palm him. You didn't push him. You didn't subtle headbutt. It wasn't a shoulder. You punched that man in the back of the head. And you get ejected. It is a disgrace. It is an embarrassment. I am saying this because there are people who are still placing blame on Greg Berhalter for the United States losing that game. You are out of your mind if you are going to blame a coach for a player drawing a red card of that caliber in the 18th minute. Now, things that I do agree with. I heard people say, well, Sergiño Dest got one 6 months ago for roughly the same thing. Something's going on with the players. That's fair. I'll have that conversation all day. This is now 2 instances. And I think, actually, Weston McKennie, I think, got one after the guy tugged his shirt, right? Weston McKennie grabbed a dude, pushed a dude over by his throat, and he got red carded. So we have a problem. That you can put on Greg. You can put that on the coach. Because clearly the coach has not stressed enough to the players to stop being morons. I'll sprinkle some of that blame on Pulisic. I'll sprinkle some of that blame on Adams. I'll sprinkle some of that blame on Turner, on Ream, on Zimmerman. Because when Dest did it, we had players in Dest's face, ripping him a new one, as they should have. And Dest was like, get off me. I'm better than... No, you're not, dude. Don't get me wrong, we needed Dest. We could use Dest. We're going to come back to that. That's number one. It's Tim Weah. It's 90% Tim Weah. So now we're down a player, and you don't notice a difference. We counter in transition. Anthony Robinson still doing what he does. Pulisic, we swing the ball in. We get some opportunities. Very favorable bounce. Robinson's not trying to do what he did. It comes in. Balogun just takes it first time. Absolute, just beaut. No words to describe that goal. Goes in. United States up 1-0. Okay? Now we're going back to some blame. This is where some combination of us and Greg Berhalter start to take a lot of the blame. What was the game plan after that, boys? Were we going to keep going and get another one? Because we got real sloppy real fast. That's the same thing that happened against Bolivia. It's the same thing that's happened in previous matches where we've gone up early and we've scored goals first. We look silly. What's the plan? Now, before halftime, I'm not putting it on Greg. It's our fault we conceded a second goal. Or our first goal. It's our fault that Panama ties it up. They come in. They move forward. They get super favorable bounces. And they hit just an unlucky kind of shot. It's just got enough pace. It's just enough in the corner. It's just enough through his legs. It's just enough screening. Matt Turner does it. Just enough of him not seeing it. So it's just enough. And this is a game I'm fine with that. It's a game you just need enough. And Panama did just enough. Hustling, tackling through that ball, staying with it, winning, being more aggressive, being more resilient. Okay? Got stuck in repeatedly, gets the ball, knocks it through Richard's legs, and literally, it was a ball-sized hole in Richard's legs. His legs were basically together. Right? Tucks through and goes in. That's okay. That's fine. What are we going to do? Because you can't lose this game. This is what I don't think people have thought through. You cannot lose this game. If you lose, Panama have the same number of points as you, have the same number of points as Uruguay. Uruguay is going to beat Bolivia because they're one of the tournament favorites. So that puts Uruguay at 6, Panama at 3, the United States at 3. Now if Bolivia beat Panama, it's 3. That's an extreme case. There's no way goal differential is overcoming this. But now you're in a position where what? You have to beat Uruguay? And if you beat Uruguay, you still might not go through? But if you draw, then even if Panama wins, the goal differential is still in your favor. And it's going to take a lot. You got to get shellacked by Uruguay, and Panama has to crush Bolivia. Panama's probably going to win. Probably not going to crush them. Probably going to win. So going to halftime. This is where it's on you, Greg. You got it wrong in the Netherlands game. This is where it comes down to coaching. This is where it comes down to tactics. This is where it comes down to execution. So what's the plan when we come out of the tunnel at halftime? Are we packing it in? And are we going for a draw? Or are we trying to play on the counterattack? Okay, so we take Reyna out. Not playing on the counterattack. Got it. Adams comes out. We're expecting Adams to come out. He's got to come out. He's got a time limit. Fine with Johnny Cardoso. He's been playing great. He's kind of like an all-around dude playing in that spot. Okay. Still got Balogun up there. Still got Pulisic. Okay. Cameron Carter-Vickers. What a legend. Truly a legend of American football. I cannot get enough of Cameron Carter-Vickers. Gosh, reminds me of what the media did 8 years ago? 10 years ago? We're just hyping up Michael Bradley, and hyping up Jermaine Jones, and hyping up Clint Dempsey, and hyping up Landon Donovan. Loving it. Loving every second of it. So that's what we're doing. Every time Cameron Carter-Vickers, he's been playing with Celtic, won some leagues over there, won some championships over there. And every time he comes on the field, there's Cameron Carter-Vickers. Come on. What? Dude, is Miles Robinson hurt? Like, how hurt? How hurt is Miles Robinson? Walker Zimmerman, you got a calf strain. Can he play 45 minutes? Can he do it? Because, man, Miles Robinson with a sprained ankle is going to be better than Cameron Carter-Vickers. I would have put, Christoph Lund or somebody? Just put somebody else. Just try it at this point. Just try it. Put Tim Ream at the dead center of the back and just put somebody else in. Shaq Moore? Have Shaq Moore play like left center mid. It's fine. Just put Tim Ream in the dead center back. Just come on. Everything's got to be fine. Why not? Why Cameron Carter-Vickers? What a stupid decision. What a stupid decision. But okay. All right. Okay. Horvath comes in. That's fine. We kind of have to, right? So Matt Turner's obviously hurt. Say he's got a leg contusion. I got you. I got it. That's fine. So what's the tactic then, Greg? So we're not playing on the counterattack. We're not going for it, right? We're not going to do it. Well, we're going to try to string Balogun. We're going to try to spring him. We're going to try to spring Pulisic. And it's like okay, but here we are, whole second half. And we haven't committed to anything. We're not really playing on the counterattack. We're not really packing the box in. And man, oh man, are there some scary situations. It's very scary situations. And I'm thinking typical USA soccer is about the 67th minute. And I'm texting my brother and I'm texting my dad and I'm texting my friends and I'm saying, it's going to be the United States 2-1 like the 97th minute. Because that's us. That's what we do. Right? That's what we do. Game starts getting dirty. Game starts getting ugly. Guys getting chippy. Guys getting lippy. Smashing each other. Cameron Carter-Vickers throws what looks like an insane tackle. Now here's the reality. That was an insane tackle for you to be throwing. But he pulled out of it. He didn't actually do it. The player embellished. Yeah, the player did embellish. Notice how they got a yellow card for embellishing. Yeah, he pulled out. But the fact that he threw that? Bro, you're like one of the last men back. The guy's just dribbling. And you're throwing a 2-footed studs up tackle that you're not even going to win the ball? My gosh, what are you doing? Oh, so VAR comes in and VAR is like, no. And whatever, VAR gets it right, wrong, doesn't matter. So, United States dodges another one. Listen, you can only dodge so many bullets when you're going to do that nonsense. So now Folarin Balogun comes off, and we get, oh my gosh, I just blanked. Ricardo Pepe. So we're not playing in transition anymore, but like we're still trying to score? Is that what we're doing? Because Ricardo Pepe's a striker. And, like, we got 10 men, so is that what we're doing? Or, like, should we have maybe taken Balogun off and, like, put in a Musa or, like, an Aronson and just been like, we're just going to run around like madmen in the midfield and hope that, we never get the ball from anybody and you never get, okay. Then, as literally basically to be expected at this point in the game, Panama just endless pressure after failed clearance, after guys expecting another guy to do their job for them because this is the United States defense. It's in shambles with no idea, with no strategy, with no like ideas in mind of just kind of hoping someone else is going to figure it out. Gets what really, honestly, looking back on it, was a pretty unfortunate goal for Panama to score. It's a really favorable bounce. He gets a pretty lucky connection on it because he's really, honestly, when you watch it, he's just trying to steer it on frame. He hits it right at Ethan Horvath. This is not an exaggeration. If Ethan Horvath just stands there, it's going to ring him in the noggin and not go in. So if you're watching, I don't know if it was the Euro where the guy, I think it was the Euros where the dude ducked. It's basically the same thing except you're a goalie. So you could have put your hands in front of your face. The ball would have hit your hands, hit your head, and then probably landed somewhere near you. And instead, Ethan Horvath ducks down and goes to put his hands up and then just lets the ball go through his hands and the ball goes in the net. Can you blame him? I mean, kind of. But I get it. He's not our starter. He's not getting a lot of playing time, whatever. Quick reaction stuff. I mean, the guy is like 5 feet in front of him. So it's fine. I'm not putting all the blame on Ethan Horvath. I'm really not putting hardly any of the blame on Ethan Horvath. I just think it's silly that a shot that's right at you doesn't get there. I don't understand what world we have to live in where that game only had 4 added minutes of stoppage time. You had a red card. You had injuries. You had a goal. You had 2 video assistant reviews. 4 minutes? Are you serious? With all the chippiness, with all the fouls? You would have had more than 4 minutes with just the chippiness. The Euros had 1 single VAR review and they went to 7 minutes. Just one. Just 1 VAR review. Went to 7 minutes. 4? People, this is not an excuse for the United States performance. Okay? I need to make that very clear. I am not sitting here saying, oh, we got CONCACAF'd again, and so the United States should be let off the hook. No. I've already ripped us, and I'm about to rip Greg, and I'm going to continue to rip us. But you're out of your mind if you think that there's not something going on with the refereeing in CONCACAF, specifically against the United States. Timothy Weah strikes a player in the head. They video review it. They call the referee over to the video. So first off, the referee didn't even see it. Referee doesn't even see it, okay? Now, let's give praise where praise is due. This is exactly why we had VAR. It was all because Zinedine Zidane's headbutt, and we saw it on the thing, and he saw that boom, and we wanted to make sure that players knew if we catch it off the ball and we catch it off camera, whatever, you're getting a card for it. So, props to VAR for bringing it to the referee's attention that that's not a yellow card, that he really struck that dude in the head and he needs a sending off. Straight red, great. But in the Canada game, when the Peruvian player headbutted him, and the referee saw it in person, then the video assistant review saw it on video, both of those people said, well, I don't know, it wasn't like a clear strike to the head, so, it's probably okay. That's a joke. And so the inconsistency is something that we can be upset about. Again, Weah did something wrong. I'm putting all the blame on Weah. Hear me out. I'm not trying to make excuses for him. It's unacceptable. But when you got Matt Turner getting creamed, when you got guys getting tackled off the ball, when you got guys throwing studs up stuff, when you got Joe Scally getting hit 15 different times, when you got Falarin Balogun getting grabbed 8, 9, 10 times, and they're saying, oh, the referee's handing out the most yellow cards, whatever. Like what? Like as if that's a what? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Does he have a horrible judgment? Because in games like this, and we've seen it when we didn't have CONCACAF referees in CONCACAF games, you set the tone early. As soon as guys start doing stupid stuff, you're reaching right to your pocket. Well, he grabbed his jersey and he's putting in. I hear people lipping off and talking, saying stuff about each other's moms and family. No, yellow card. Let it happen again. See what happens. And then it's done. And the players stop. But instead, you got Balogun getting grabbed by 3 different dudes. Like my wife's watching the game. My wife was like, what the heck is that? When Balogun was down in the corner and he's got one guy, and you can see it. You can go find it. One guy's pulling his arm this way. The other guy's pulling his arm this way. He's literally getting pulled. Like they're trying to draw and quarter him. Finally, he just goes down. But at first, if you're watching, he can't even go down because they're supporting all his weight because they got both his arms. So the referee gets the straight red call correct for the Panama player. Okay. That's fine. So at that moment, and this is where my fury comes in, my absolute fury comes in. At that moment, Okay, it's like the 88th minute or 80th minute or something like that. I think it was like the 88th when they got it. I want to double check this. So I want to make sure that I get this right. At that moment, United States had a chance. 88th minute, I was correct. 88th minute. I'm thinking to myself, you know what? We got a chance. You know why I'm thinking we got a chance? I'm thinking we got a chance because we had video assisted review in there. And a red card and a sending off and players coming together. Man, there's going to be like 10, 12 minutes of stoppage time. We're going to squeak out that point, baby. United States is going to get one because we were outplaying Panama down a man in the first half. So what happens? We make a substitution. We pull a defender off. We put on Yunus Musa. Let's go, baby. We're going to go get that second goal. There'll be 4 added minutes of stoppage time in the match. 4 added minutes. You don't think CONCACAF doesn't want the United States to go through? Bro, Mexico's playing that game. There's 12 added minutes of stoppage time. Argentina? You are out of your mind if you think Lionel Messi and Argentina in that exact same game, in the exact same situation, are not getting 7 to 10 added minutes of stoppage time. And as soon as you look at it that way, the light bulb goes off and you know there's something wrong. You know it's wrong when if you placed any of the tournament favorites in that position, in a game like that, they would not have handed them 4 added minutes of stoppage time. I've seen it happen in other games. I've seen way too much stoppage time get added. But it's very tough to make an argument most of the time that there's too much. Because there's lots of stoppages in play. Remember when they started doing the World Cup and like the very first match had like 15 extra added minutes. It was like 18 or something crazy. Because they were trying to see what would happen if they literally did it. If somebody was like every time the ball went out, they stopped their watch. And every time it came in, they started it. And every time the ball stopped, they stopped it. And started. Yeah. Like, you lost like half of a half. Like, a quarter of the game really isn't played. Because players are just trying to fetch the ball and stand around and chatting and free kicks and stuff. Is it a guarantee the United States gets a game-tying goal with more added stoppage time? No, it's not. It's not a guarantee. Again, that's why I think about my blame. Timothy Weah, the men's national team, Greg Berhalter. Second half, Timothy Weah, Greg Berhalter, the men's national team. Kind of down here. Greg's very close to Tim Weah in the second half. The people who are the most upset, who are refusing to give blame to Timothy Weah, are refusing to give blame to Timothy Weah because they just want to see Greg Berhalter out. I'm indifferent. Okay? I really am. Am I thrilled with what he's doing? No. I'm not thrilled. Do I think that he's done such a terrible job that he needs to get outed? It's indifferent. I can tell you this. If you're going to throw Greg Berhalter out, you throw him out after the Copa America. You don't wait any longer than that. Either he goes and the men get 2 years under a new coach, because you know it's going to take us some time to find a coach. So use this next window. Copa stops. Use the window. Get another coach in there. Get us through the World Cup. Or you stick with him. Because as bad as he might be, I really don't want to see any of these other inconsistencies. So what does this mean? Let's think about this. What does this mean? Because this is what you're hearing. Right? This headline is what you're going to hear. Does this mean that Greg Berhalter's out? We're finally starting to hear the fans of Greg Berhalter say, sorry, dude, you got to go. And I honestly can't blame anybody. If I'm looking at this objectively, I can't give you any reason why Greg Berhalter shouldn't lose his job. Because all like the NHL teams I'm a fan of and the NFL teams I'm a fan of, this is how it goes. The EPL teams, right? I love Jesse Marsh at Leeds. But guess what? When you only lose, you get fired. That's what happens. We're professionals in a professional field where you're getting paid millions of dollars to do your job, and you need to do it well. If you don't win, you get fired. Ryan Day at Ohio State. I mean, the dude wins every single game of the season and loses to Michigan. Loses one game to Michigan, and everybody's like, dude's fired. That's his whole job. His whole job's that one game. Nobody cares about the rest of the season. This man's going to get fired. But over here in U.S. soccer land, Greg Berhalter could lose like 9 games in a row. And people are like, well, yeah, but, I mean, like, Dest is hurt, and, Christian's really tired, and what are you talking about? Objectively. Okay. This is something that's uncomfortable to talk about. We have to talk about it. The United States is going to get grouped. Okay? This is going to be the second most painful thing that I've had to watch as a United States soccer fan. The first being us failing to qualify for the World Cup in 2018. This is going to be the second most painful thing. We are not going to beat Uruguay. As a fan, I'm just trying to wrap my head around that. Because if I wrap my head around that, then if we win, some miracle, I can celebrate and it's great. But we're going to get grouped. The smartest thing for the U.S. Soccer Federation to do, if we get grouped, is to remove Greg Berhalter. It's the smartest thing. I don't care what the players feel about him. I don't care what the president feels about him. I don't care what the board feels about him. I don't care about any of those things. Because you have to think about this from a business stance in the long term. Okay? You are trying to build USA Soccer fans for the 2026 World Cup. Okay? Let's look at this purely from a business stance. Okay? I'm a business guy. In 2026, your goal is to fill every single stadium, sell an unprecedented amount of United States soccer gear, and generate USA Soccer fans for life. You're going to do that by having a team that performs well, that makes at least the quarterfinals, maybe the semifinals, playing big-name teams along the way and beating them. Okay? If you make it to the semis, maybe you only played one big-name team before then, but if you make it to the quarters, hopefully you've played a bunch of big-name teams. So here, you're hosting the Copa America. Why? Why are you hosting the Copa America? Because you want to give the United States fans a taste. You want to sprinkle that seasoning on there. You want to watch the United States just clean people's clocks. And you want to be able to say, you like that? We got some more where that came from. You better stick around. Huh? You want a jersey? You want a jersey? Got some jerseys for you. You like Tyler Adams? There's more Tyler Adams where that came from. You like Gio Reyna? There's more Gio Reyna where that came from. That's what we're trying to do. So from a business stance, you're about to lose all of that. You're about to lose that investment. And the media is going to crush you. Because I'm doing the same thing. You're going to get crushed. Because we're going to get grouped. And everybody's going to say, we're a joke, we're whatever. And as a USA Soccer fan who knows from an eye test objectively, this is the best set of players that we have ever had. Full stop, bar none. It drives me crazy. I literally cannot handle having to listen to these commentators over and over and over and over again say that they're not, that these players are not, that they're falling short, that they're failing, that they're overpaid, that they're... I'm so done with it. But guess what? You don't get to shut them up unless you put up. And we're not putting up those numbers. And because we're not putting up the numbers, we're going to get punished. And we're getting crushed right now. You want to know what the way out looks like? The way out looks pretty bad. Pretty bad. Okay? I'll pull up the standings for you so you can take a look at it. The most likely scenario is that the United States gets grouped, is that the United States loses to Uruguay, and that's it. See you later. Adios. We are done. Absolutely done. Okay? Done. Just absolutely done. I got to pull this over. Come on. Get over there. Let's pull it over. Absolutely done. That's the most likely scenario. You know why? Because if Panama wins and goes to 6 points and the United States wins, both of these teams go to 6 points. Now let's be realistic. Let's look at the realistic things. This goal differential is 7. The United States would have to beat, if the United States beat Uruguay 4-0, and Panama beat Bolivia 4-0, Uruguay would still get through. They'd get through on goals for. So Panama would have to beat Bolivia 5-0, and the United States would have to beat Uruguay 4-0 to overcome the goal differential to get Uruguay through. So what has to happen to get us there? The United States has to draw Uruguay and hope that Panama draw or lose. So both teams go to 4 points and we get through on goal differential. Or the United States has to beat Uruguay. Now you probably heard people saying before Uruguay played its second game that the United States or that Uruguay wasn't even going to back off and do nothing, right? There's a really strong chance that Uruguay does nothing. There's a really good chance, honestly, that Uruguay does absolutely nothing and the United States steamrolls them because they just genuinely don't care. Because there's not even a result that we can put up where Uruguay doesn't win the group. But you've put Panama in a position where if Panama wins, Panama gets out of the group. Because if Panama wins and we draw Uruguay, Panama gets out, Uruguay gets out, and we're a joke. Full-blown joke. So what does the way out look like? The way out is dark, dreary, and dismal. Is it impossible? No. Uruguay, there is a chance that on Monday night, Uruguay rests a lot of their players. Now, there's a chance they don't, because resting players might mean Luis Suarez starts, and he's not nobody. There's a chance they rest some players. Panama is out their best player. It's going to make a very big difference. Bolivia's not nobody. Panama's not nobody. There's a chance that that game ends in a draw. There's a chance that it's a nail-biter with 2 screens on with everybody freaking out. But here's the reality. It almost feels like, if I'm being objective, that it doesn't matter because we've already presented a full-blown failure in the group stage. To be the United States that has always been the United States, that has always been the United States, doing this crap over and over and over and over again. I'm tired of it. I am. I'm tired of it. I think every other USA Soccer fan is tired of it, and it sucks because there's absolutely nothing that we can do about it. The United States is going to play Uruguay Monday night. If Uruguay rests a bunch of its players, there's a chance that we win that game. If Uruguay doesn't rest a bunch of its players, there's still a chance that we win that game. We did draw them 0-0. Yes, it was a friendly. Yes, Darwin Nunez didn't play up front. He's a stud. If Uruguay goes for it, we could be down 3-4-0 at halftime. Monday could be the most exciting day in U.S. soccer history so far. It could be the most discouraging day. Second most discouraging day in USA Soccer so far. I appreciate you listening to this rant, sticking around. We're going to continue to bring you USA Soccer action. I'm hoping we get to bring you more than just Monday night. Monday night, United States, Uruguay. Red, white, and blue. Whether we win, whether we lose, we're going to keep bleeding. We're going to keep being here for it. Thank you for tuning in to Extra Time, your U.S. men's national team soccer podcast. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys on the next one.